Attorney General Dominic Ayini a press conference will brief you about a year or more. They are under investigation, detention, and all that. Now, I know will be bisa during the question period. No be bisa. See, the live video in Abema. Will be bisa and say, Afenyo Markins. And like I said, they have a recording of and it's Wama and Afenyo Markins was he should desist or else he will carry on. From a Attorney General.
The cases you have gathered so far, either from oral or from the National Service, is it a case that you're under pressure?
One question per journalist, please.
My name is Kweku Asante from Joy FM and Joy News. This one on Mr. Dubin and the wife and the other suspects. You talked about some bail conditions. We want to know specifically: are they still in detention? Have they met those bail conditions and all that? And if you can briefly provide some update on what has been referred in some sections of the media as a raid on the former Bank of Ghana's governor's residence, and what led to that. We understand your office did authorize that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is John Amengsa. I report for fmnewsonline.com. Flowing from what Joel has said, it seems the minority is not too happy with the situation regarding what is going on today. As of this moment, they also address the media, accusing the national security
orders to those banks to ensure that the coffers are not emptied, even though you've served a warning. And secondly, the Deputy Attorney General has mentioned, amongst many other things, that some members of Parliament are seeking to abuse immunity offered them while making defamatory comments in the presence of Parliament, and suggested there was going to be a cure of some form for it. What is that cure, if we may ask?
All right, thank you very much. So the Attorney General will proceed to answer these set of questions, after which we'll come back for a final round.
Yeah, thank you very much. On the first issue of whether I am under pressure to go to court, you would understand that the issue of accountability and oral, that is Operation Recover All Loot, was a central plank of His Excellency's campaign. In fact, the National Democratic Congress campaigned seriously on the issue of accountability. Ghanaians bought into that campaign and other issues that we addressed during the campaign, and that is why they voted for us to hold those who have abused public office accountable. So yes, I'm under pressure. But I'm under pressure not from political quarters, but from ordinary Ghanaians. Despite my busy schedule, I find time to go to social media, and I see what Ghanaians want us to do. They are in a hurry to know what we are doing about holding people who have looted state resources accountable. Yes, sometimes you may have some of your colleagues saying that things are not going as quickly as we wanted. But I have said that I will not rush to court on any matter. I will not. And the president knows that, and he accepts that. So, yes, the pressure is coming, but you see, it was under that pressure that, together with EOCO, we investigated Dubin. You see how diligent the work has been. You see the evidence we have laid out. Okay, if you're under pressure, you go to court, and then you now come back to look for evidence, like some other Attorney General did in the past, and subsequently was calling a witness to help the witness help him, make out his case. All right, so I won't do that at all. I would, if I don't have the kind of evidence that I have on Dubin, I will not go to court. So yes, the pressure is there, but I'm soaking in the pressure together with my Deputy Attorney General and some of the staff. We are soaking in the pressure. Now, with respect to the bail conditions, yes, we gave them bail conditions. I think all in all, it's about 160 million. Yes, about 160 million Ghana cedis bail with sureties to be justified. So they brought some properties belonging to some of their friends and family. We are verifying the titles of those properties and to see if, we will accept them in order to grant the bail. Now, with respect to Dubin, I got a briefing last night, and I'm thinking that he should continue to stay in detention. If we are granting the wife and the other suspects bail, he should continue to stay in detention because of what has come to my knowledge. So I have advised EOCO to vary the bail terms or release him and rearrest him. And then we will now go to court in order to meet the 48-hour constitutional threshold, maybe likely today. On the rates, on so-called rates, you see, the MPP is a unique group of individuals. In 2017, they were arresting, that's what they said. They were arresting former appointees. Okay? So I told you here that policemen came to my house with guns. If that is not... Okay. Sorry, the bail amount is 260 million, not 160. So he just, DAG just came to correct me on that. It's 260 million. So they came to my house in July of 2017 with guns. I didn't call a press conference to say that this was a raid. They showed me a warrant that they were conducting investigations into a transaction in respect of which I had written a legal opinion. That is the Ameri deal. And they came to my house, okay, with guns. Did anyone, can you go back to the internet to check if I said that this was a raid on my house? So how come that a search of the governor's house, based upon credible intelligence that we received, and I was the one who applied for the warrants and got them issued by the High Court for the searches to be conducted? Why is that a raid? Are some people now above the law that we cannot conduct a legally sanctioned, search, constitutionally sanctioned test, a search in their houses? Maybe they are above the law. Okay, but no one is above the law in this country. We are all subject to the Constitution. And in terms of the Constitution, under Article 18, all right, there are limits to what you can do by saying that you cannot, your house should not be searched. So we obtain warrants, and if the media wants, I can make those warrants available. Okay, so there was no raid on his house, and there's nothing illegal or unconstitutional about what we did. But they are deciding to bastardize me and to bastardize the operatives of the national security by even saying that during the raid, which for me wasn't a raid, it was a constitutionally sanctioned search, they stole 10,000 Ghana cedis. All right? Now, what an insult. Okay? And that is what my Deputy Attorney General was referring to when he said that, the constitutional immunity granted to MPs does not mean that they should abuse that immunity and then, defame individuals or officials who are conducting normal business, normal public business. All right? And ladies and gentlemen of the media, let me tell you, we have a recording of Addison and what he said about the raid. So if Afenyo Markin, the Honorable Minority Leader, is daring me, we'll make that recording available. So he should desist from maligning law enforcement officers and myself for the work that we are doing. He should also take cognizance of the fact that I am the leader of the bar, and I will act in the best interest of the ethics of the profession. Everyone at the bar knows me for that. So I won't do anything unethical, and I have advised both EOCO and National Security about staying within the bounds of the law in conducting investigations. So he should not abuse his parliamentary immunity by libeling or defaming public officials who are conducting normal, legally sanctioned, public business. Now, with respect to freezing orders, we are notifying all the banks today. You see, the gentleman class, the arrests follow intensive investigations into the purchase of some cyber intelligence equipment by the National Signals Bureau, formerly known as the Bureau of National Communications. It must be made clear from the outset that though under the under the Operation Recover All Loot government program, this operation of operations at EOCO. Here are the facts on which the arrests were made. On February 25th, 2025, around 11:30, 23:20 hours, EOCO received intelligence that suspect Kobna Idubohin left the country for the United Kingdom via British Airways flight BA 078 to London. Days after that, EOCO received further intelligence that the suspect had flown from the United Kingdom to Dubai and had purchased an Emirates airline ticket, which suggested that he was expected to arrive in Ghana on Friday, March 21st, 2025 at 12 noon via Emirates flight number EK 187. On Thursday, March 20th, 2025, EOCO received intelligence again, additional intelligence, that the suspect had cancelled his flight and rescheduled his arrival to Ghana from Dubai to April 18, 2020. That is April 8th, not 18, April 8th, 2020. Now, I want this chronology to sink in because of a point that I will be making later on about why we are detaining him. On March 20th, around 3 p.m., EOCO's operational team, led by the acting deputy executive director in charge of operations, assessed its operational plan to include the possibility that the suspect could have traveled back to London to fly to Ghana in an attempt to evade surveillance. EOCO assessed with high confidence that the changes made by the suspect in terms of arrival date in Ghana may have been calculated steps to mislead investigators and throw them off any possible surveillance. EOCO further assessed that the time of the cancellation of the Emirates flight coincided with the time the British Airways was expected to fly from Heathrow to Ghana. The decision was taken to place the suspect on a stop order and make emergency operational adjustments and brace for his unexpected arrival and arrest of the suspect on either British Airways or KLM, which was expected to arrive in Accra. An hour to the arrival of the British Airways flight 078 in Accra, EOCO received intelligence that a name similar to that of suspect Kobna Idubohin, he had changed from K. Idubohin to O. Idubohin in the manifest, maybe on the British Airways flight. The suspect had slightly altered his name on the name that is reflected on all his passports. Around 9 p.m. on March 21st, the suspect was stopped by Ghana Immigration Service as he attempted to use the commercially important person CIP terminal at the Kotoka International Airport. Now, he had changed his class from business class to economy, and decided to evade arrest through the CIP terminal. EOCO has evidence that the suspect has at least 2 service passports, one which expires in 2033 and another which expires in 2029. So he has 2 service passports. It means that he also has a normal passport. Usually you would have a normal passport before you are issued the service passport. EOCO is currently following up on intelligence that the suspect may be holding a foreign passport also, because from what I'm going to tell you, the massive wealth that he has, accumulated from 2018 shows that it is possible for him to have bought citizenship in some of the countries or jurisdictions where you can actually, as an investor, buy citizenship. And also, his wife holds a British passport, which we have in our possession. Now, as I said, he is the immediate past Director General of the National Signals Bureau. He left office sometime in February 2025. NSB, or the National Signals Bureau, is a successor organization to the now defunct Bureau of National Communications. Prior to the enactment of the NSB Act, that is the National Signals Bureaus Act 2020, which transformed the BNC into the NSB, Mr. Dubin served as Deputy Director of the BNC and subsequently is Director from 2017. In other words, yes, he has been in the management and control of Ghana's signal infrastructure since 2017. As the Director of BNC, Mr. Dubin was a co-signatory to the BNC's Director's account at Fidelity Bank. While serving as Director of BNC, however, he and his wife, Miss Angela Ejeboating, registered a company on October 23rd, 20. It is important to note that the similarity between the names here, that is BNC, Defense System Software, at a price of $7 million United States of American dollars. Let us call this contract the GOG ISC contract. On February 6, 2020, Mr. Dubin then transferred an initial amount of 27,100,000 Ghana cedis, that is from the National BNC's operations account at Fidelity Bank to the private BNC account at UMB. Official documentation on the transfer revealed that the amount was for the payment of cyber defense system software, which the National BNC was buying from ISC Holdings in Israel. Mr. Dubin, in effect, transferred the money from the National BNC to his private company, the same private BNC account at UMB. The narration of the transaction indicated that it was for the payment of the cyber defense systems that the National BNC was buying. The transfer from the National BNC's account brought the total transfers that he made to his private BNC to 49 million Ghana cedis. By the exchange rate at the time, this amount was exactly the Ghana cedi equivalent of 7 million United States of American dollars. The exact full amount which he quoted as the price at which ISC Holdings sold the cyber defense equipment to government of Ghana. All the payments transferred to the invoice, a number from ISC Holdings, all the payments reference the invoice number from ISC Holdings to the National BNC. Importantly, after the initial transfer of the 9.5 million Ghana cedis, which was the equivalent of 1.750 United States of American dollars from the private BNC to ISC Holdings, no further payments were made to ISC Holdings. A review of the transactions on the private BNC account reveals that after the payment of the 1,750,000, Mr. Dubin and his wife began applying the rest of the funds for their personal use, making transfers to local third parties, personal investment, as well as transfers to unknown persons. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen of the media, we have all the account details, we have all the receipts, and any person who took money from Mr. Dubin from that account, we know. Intelligence Center. With the press of a button, we can see the movement of money, on any of the accounts. So we are monitoring that very, very closely. We know, for instance, that the three banks that they have been dealing with, in substantial financial transactions are UMB, Fidelity Bank, and Stanbic Bank. So we are monitoring them keenly. And the managers of this bank, if they are listening to me, should be careful about what they do on any account connected to Mr. Dubois and his wife and their companies. The investigations also established that the proceeds from the suspect's activities were used to buy significant landed properties and other assets of considerable value both in Ghana and elsewhere. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the press, my fellow countrymen and women, I want to give you a sample of what we have discovered so far. We have tracked most of the assets. So, the properties that are in their names, their joint names, or sometimes in their, in their individual names, as follows. We have number 2 Stream Park Drive, Mayfair Estates, LA, Dar es Salaam, Accra. For that, they deposited, and we have the deposit slip as well as the receipt from the estate developer, $1 million United States of American dollars. Number 6, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estates, La Accra. Deposit 500,000 United States of America. That's American dollars. That's the initial deposit. All right. Then we have number 7, Edith Avenue, Mayfair, 200,000 United States of American dollars deposited for the property. Number 8, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estates, La Accra, 97,815 United States of American dollars was deposited for that property. But we are sure that other cash payments were made to complete the purchase and then the transfer of ownership. So we are tracing all those documents. Number 9, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estate, 270,000 United States of American dollars deposited, initial deposit for the purchase. Number 10, Edith Avenue, Mayfair Estates, Accra, 150,000 United States of American dollars deposited. Vertex Properties owns 27 houses located at Oyarifa. Each house costs, an estimated cost of 295 United States of American dollars. We also know that they have 2 properties in London that we are tracking, and I'm going to trigger the mutual legal assistance between the United Kingdom and Ghana for us to be able to lay hands on those properties. Now, we also know we've been following the bank transactions very closely, and we know that on February 11, 2020, they made a 16 million fixed deposit from the payment received from BNC Security. This was from the initial payment of 27,100,000 Ghana cedis. On April 3rd, 2020, Mr. Dubois alone withdrew 7,250,000 Ghana cedis, in cash. He withdrew that in cash. This payment came out of the second transfer of the 21 million from BNC National Security to BNC, his private, company. On April 24th, 2020, 1.5 million cash withdrawal was made. On the same day, he made payments to a real estate company to the tune of 1,566,000,000. So you see the coincidence, of the transactions that were taking place. Then February to September, out of the 49 million, which was transferred from BNC National Security to his private BNC, about 99% was withdrawn by him personally. And they were largely very large cash withdrawals. And we believe that those were the withdrawals that were made for him to make the deposit for the properties that are enumerated above. Now, we are still tracking suspect Edu Bonhi and his assets, and then, of course, his wife. But we will conclude in the next few days and file charges against him and the other suspects. So they are currently in detention. We had given them bail conditions from EOCO. He and his wife and the other suspect Now, the reason I'm not mentioning the other suspects is that for purposes of our strategy, and if they are listening to me, they should take this very seriously, the other suspects. For purposes of our investigation and prosecution, okay, we may have to use some of them as prosecution witnesses. If they give us the offer, fine. If they don't want to cooperate with this evidence, I don't see how they and the suspect will get out of, being convicted. But of course, they will have to be, their guilt will have to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. So I'm not being presumptuous, but we have all the evidence from what you can see from the enumeration that we have all the evidence, including receipts of payments and withdrawals, slips and so on. So this is for suspect Edubohen and his wife. Now, I want to say something briefly about the oral investigations. Now, in respect of oral, significant work is going on in relation to the investigations of the allegations of looting of state resources contained in the oral report submitted to me a few weeks ago. In view of the fact that these matters are still under investigation, I will not go into the details as I have done with the case of Edubohen. But I can confirm that investigations will conclude in the National Service and SkyTrain scandals by the middle of April for prosecutions to begin. In the National Service scandal, 8 suspects have been interrogated, and a good number of them have started singing. They are cooperating with our they've started singing, literally. Yeah? So we will give you details of their songs at the appropriate time. In view of the fact that, so indeed, we now have evidence of payments that were made into the accounts of the top executives of the National Service by vendors, private vendors, and staff of the scheme. We also have evidence that in November 2024, and listen to this carefully, the CEO of the National Service Scheme and others paid a Ghanaian MP to kill the story in the media and to defend them. Now, this is a developing story, and more will come out very soon. In respect of SkyTrain, we can confirm that the $2 million was paid at the request of the chairman of the board of directors of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, that is GIIF, Prof. Ameya Ekunfi, and then the CEO, Mr. Solomon Asamoah, who is currently hiding in Senegal. We tracked him first and noticed that he was in South Africa. So he left Ghana somewhere around February 2nd, the 2nd of February, to South Africa. So we were monitoring him in South Africa. And then he left South Africa and is now in Senegal. When we contacted him, he told us that he will not come to Ghana until I think he didn't say April, 3 months from now. Okay, so he's giving us 3 months to come to Ghana, very much like Ken Oforiatta, right? It reminds me of Ken Oforiatta. So he says he will come to Ghana in 3 months. So we are patiently waiting for him. If he wants to be tried in absentia, that is his choice to make. But we have the prosecutorial authority to prosecute him in absentia. And of course, the person who acted with him to transfer that money, the Prof. Ameya Ekunfi, is in the country. So if there is going to be delay, we'll start the prosecution with him being a suspect who is being tried in absentia. So on the SkyTrain, we noticed that there was no board approval for the transaction, and the conditions precedent to disbursement had not been met. The other board members and our review of the minutes of the board of directors have confirmed this fact. So we requested for all the minutes, of the board of directors within the period that this transaction occurred. And our perusal of the minutes show quite clearly that there was no board approval. Also, the interrogation has revealed, that the other board members said that they did not have knowledge of this transaction. In fact, there was one of the minutes where one of the members questioned why the GIF was in a hurry to make payment for this transaction. And no, answer of any significance was given to him by the two persons who, schemed and transferred $2 million of taxpayers' money to a Mauritius company. In fact, we tracked the company to Mauritius, and a lawyer in Mauritius has confirmed to us that it is non-existent. But that's also, a developing story. Now, the money, you see, if you are buying shares in a company, okay, you are buying shares in a company, that's your equity contribution to that company. The money is supposed to be paid into the share account, the shares account of that company. But the money was given to Africa Investment Holdings. Okay? And when, it was paid, we noticed that Africa Investment Holdings was paid 100,000 United States of American dollars as the GIF's contribution to equity. And then listen to this. 1.9 million was paid to Africa Investment Holdings as share premium. Now, when you are paying for share premium, for those of you who are accountants and lawyers, well-versed in corporate law, share premium is not paid for nothing. It is paid for the performance of the company or the growth of the company and so on and so forth. So the company must have a certain track record. Okay? But maybe they know something that I do not know. And in the course of investigation, we may know why. Maybe there is some other principle for paying a share premium, to a company, an SPV that you just incorporated. All right? And I believe that the accountants will confirm that with share premium, it's easy for the directors to take the money than when it is the share, when the money is in the actual share account. So it can tell you that this was done with some criminal enterprise, in mind. But again, I'm not prejudging anything. If we come across evidence, okay, that shows that they are innocent, I will not go to court. I told this country that I will not take anybody to court unless I am convinced that there is evidence to prove the guilt of the person beyond reasonable doubt. And as I've laid out, you can tell from what we have done. And I must thank the Economic and Organized Crime Office, the director, and especially the deputy director in charge of operations, Raymond Acha. He led the operations. And on a weekly basis, we met, got briefings, himself, myself, and my deputy, and the team. We got briefings. We didn't talk about it. So I want to let you people know that when I'm investigating something, I will not give media interviews. Okay? Because when you grant media interviews on investigations that are unfolding, all right, unless you have grasped the evidence like I now have on SkyTrain and SkyTrain and then the National Service Scheme. Okay, those significant progress has been made, and I believe that if I took those cases to court, I will obtain a conviction. That is why I'm telling you about them. But free Wi-Fi, okay, and the rest of them are still under investigation. So we are not going to be talking about them. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic, observed that the entire country was a crime scene, he knew what he was talking about. Some people bashed him for it, but the President knows because I brief him on a constant and a regular basis on what is happening with respect to our investigations. We are working diligently on several dossiers that will shock the conscience of the nation. If what suspect Edu Boahin and his wife has done is like a thriller in Manila, please brace yourself for a rumble in the jungle in the next few weeks. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
So the Attorney General will now field questions from journalists present and media representatives in order that we have an orderly framework within which to work with. If you have any question, please put up your hand. I'll call you and then you step up to ask. We will take 5 questions at a time, 2 rounds of 5 questions. So please step forward if you have a question. There's a microphone behind you, please.
Thank you very much. Honorable Attorney General, my name is Darrell Alantego from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. In not too distant weeks gone, the Deputy Attorney General answered a question, and it appears to me that the AG is under a certain pressure to go to court on some of